Welcome, welcome, everybody. Welcome. We are just getting all set up everywhere. Amazing. Welcome, everybody, to the live show today. I'm honored to be with you. Just making sure we're good everywhere. We sure are. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. Well, welcome to the show. My name is Brooke Joyner. I apologize, I'm adjusting one thing. Okay, welcome to the show. This is Catholic Owned Live. I'm your host, Brooke Joyner, the co-founder and CEO of Catholic Owned, and I'm honored that you are choosing to spend a little bit of time with me today. Thank you so much for joining me. I am just thrilled to share. I have been thinking over the weekend about what I'm going to talk about today, and this is inspired by a wonderful friend and client, Bridget Tibaldi, who had me on her community to discuss a related topic, and she kind of dropped the bomb of this idea and ultimately was the inspiration about this. So I want to give a shout out to her. Her community is all about helping women heal from traumatic birth, pregnancy, motherhood in general. If they're struggling, she really helps them out. So I encourage you to give Loretto Wellness a look if that's you. Before we dive into the meat and potatoes of the topic, I want to make sure that you are aware of our upcoming Catholic Economy Forum. This is going to be on April 16th from 12 to 3. You're going to want to be there the whole time. We have some incredible speakers. I'm going to be unveiling the first ever State of the Catholic Economy report. And we have a huge platform announcement for you that we're going to be making live at the forum. But ultimately, really what it is all about is getting together Catholics who care about supporting one another. You know, we hear time and time again that Catholics don't support one another, and people express frustration with that. And so this event is all about bringing people together, Catholic professionals, Catholic business owners, and Catholic consumers, all bringing together around this theme of supporting one another. You're going to have interactive networking opportunities and, like I said, a huge announcement in addition to everything else. So be sure to grab your tickets. The link is in the description of this video if you want to grab your tickets. There is a discount code there if you would like to take advantage of that. Otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you on April 16th. Today, the topic is all about virtues in the marketplace. But we're going to take it a step further. I am going to posit to you today that ultimately, that the way that we do business, well, I'm just going to back up. One of the things that people oftentimes say, right? So our vision is building the new Catholic economy to reclaim the culture for Christ. When I talk to people about supporting Catholic-owned businesses, there can be some objections. One of the most common objections is surrounding the topic of convenience. People often will say, pardon me, it's so much easier to just go on Amazon, place an order, and it shows up on my door the next day. Why would I want anything other than that? And trust me, I understand the convenience factor. So I'm not trying to put down anybody or demonize anybody who likes convenience. Of course we like convenience. And of course, as Catholic business owners, you know, a little disclaimer, we do need to be excellent. We do need to be prompt. We do need to be competitive in the secular and Catholic economies. We have to perform, and there's absolutely no question about that. So I just want to be very clear that excellence is absolutely a requirement with the businesses that I'm talking to and that I'm talking about. However, that being said, I would posit that this desire for Catholic businesses to compete and to be as quick and also costs be super cheap, but mostly be super quick, super efficient, like robots, like Amazon is fundamentally a disordered requirement that we are placing on Catholic businesses. How could that be? How could this demand for immediate, as soon as you snap your fingers, you have what you're looking for? How is that disordered? Well, let's walk it back a little bit. I want to examine this desire for immediacy and immediate fulfillment of whatever we're looking for. And let's look at it from a Catholic perspective. Let's also look at it as, how did we even get here as an American or global economy, and the implications for that. So I want to walk it back to, and I'm going to reference Amazon because obviously they have been huge in this shift in the culture in terms of the expectations on businesses. So Amazon, number one, is they are obsessed with the customer. They say this everywhere. This has, I think Jeff Bezos has been quoted that this is really the secret to their success. They are obsessed with the customer. Well, if we look at that a little bit closer, is that actually good? Now, of course, I'm never going to argue that poor customer service is the goal. Not by a long shot. But what I will challenge is this idea of being obsessed with a customer. As Catholics, we know that being obsessed with anything other than God is a fundamentally disordered disposition of the heart and of the mind and of the spirit of a person. And so a business like Amazon that is obsessed with the customer is fundamentally disordered. That is not the way that God designed humans to be. And so when we begin from a place of error, we know that error begets error. And so a company that is obsessed with the customer, ultimately, what I would argue has happened is that Amazon, with their obsession with us, has created expectations that are also disordered. What are those expectations? With Amazon and similar large big box stores, they ultimately tell you the same lie that the serpent told Eve in the garden. And that is that you can be like God. What do I mean by that? What it means to be God is he thinks and therefore it is realized. Compare that to the big box, big brand shopping experience. You think that you want the thing, and it is their work to materialize that thing in front of your eyes as fast as whatever processes they've defined can deliver. Their ultimate goal is that you think about the thing, they capture the revenue, and they deliver before you even open your eyes. And we can see through the innovations and growth that Amazon has had over the years that's what they want. Now, why do they want that? They want that because as soon as you desire the thing, they want to capture the revenue. They don't want to give anyone else a chance to, they don't want you to think about where you're going to get it. They don't want you to think about the companies that you're supporting. They don't want you to think about the implications of such a quick purchase because they're not thinking about you at all. They're just thinking about how they can make the most money possible from your desires by giving you everything you want and profiting off of it. Well, this is fundamentally disordered because just because we want something doesn't mean we should have it. And that at its core is what is wrong with the modern economic system that we have developed. Just because we want something doesn't mean we should have it. Just because we need something doesn't mean we need to buy it right this second. It doesn't mean that our purchase doesn't make a difference for the companies that we buy from. So by Amazon short-circuiting the entire purchasing process, they are causing us to develop habits that we are habitually ignoring the many implications of our purchases. So that's number one. But number two, we not only are ignoring because we are trained to, you don't have to think, you don't have to know anything, you just have to buy it and get it, and then you're happy. We have been trained to expect that speed. And that expectation is fundamentally disordered because it comes from a disordered system. And so when we talk about the economic system, transactions, buying from businesses, all of this, what we have come to expect is the absolute lowest prices, the absolute immediate fulfillment of whatever the thing I want being delivered to me in as little time as possible. And we expect that we don't have any responsibility to the people who are fulfilling the order. All of these expectations collectively are disordered. It's a fundamentally disordered system. And sanctity and virtue does not come from disorder. And so the thesis I'm trying to present today is the current system is fundamentally disordered because it is based on flawed ideals. And therefore, when we talk about shifting our purchasing habits into a Catholic economy, it only makes sense for us to shed some of these disordered expectations. What does that mean? What does that look like? I want to go a little bit further before I get to what it looks like in practice. I want to look a little bit closer at this disordered system that we have developed and some of the symptoms that maybe you're seeing show up in how you do business or how you buy. Ultimately, this disordered system has led to a total and utter dehumanization of all commerce and transactions that occur in the modern economy. Dehumanization of transactions. What does that mean? Well, the way it can show up for many of us is if we are just placing an order, imagine we are placing an order online. We would like these 5 items. The items arrive, but only 4 are in the box. So 1 of the 5 items is missing. What do we do as consumers today? Well, oftentimes we submit a complaint that is processed by a robot, and we are also somewhat impatient, demanding, way more than if we were speaking to a human being. So the way that we write that complaint or submit that report in and of itself is dehumanized because we know we're not talking to a person. So we just type whatever we want, whatever we feel at the time, and we submit that report. Well, there's also a lot of times there's a person on the other end of that. There's a person who has to make a decision about what to do about that submitted report. But we're not thinking about them. We're just thinking about what we want. And at the end of the day, that's one way that each one of us is living in this dehumanized economy. These transactions that are fundamentally dehumanized and void of all humanity because it is so digitized and it is so distant from the person-to-person contact that would prevent the type of behavior that I'm talking about. Not only that, at one point in time, in order to place an order, you had to talk to somebody on the phone. And did it take more time? Yes, it did. But was it bad to talk to the other person? Was it bad to receive quality customer service? I don't think that it was. And the more the time goes on, the more I'm thinking that was actually a fundamentally good thing. I had the wonderful Caroline King on the show a few weeks back, and Caroline and her husband Rich have a company called Catholic Faith Store. They are a large online retailer of Catholic goods of all kinds, but they do phone customer service. And we spoke about this during the interview that it is so important that when a customer calls, there's a human being there to guide them through the process. The truth is that, especially and Caroline shared, the purchases that they're guiding customers through are very personal, and they appreciate knowing, that they're making the right choice. They're selecting the right gift or the right product for their needs, and that they're going to be happy with their purchase. And if they're not, they can call and talk to the same person or another team member about that purchase so it can be made right. That human touch is so refreshing coming from Carolyn and Rich because so few people are doing it. But it is absolutely a positive. It is an absolute good. It is a fundamental good that human touch at a minimum be made available. Maybe you don't make it required, but that it is available is a huge step forward, in my opinion. Similarly, at Catholic Owned, sometimes people call and they are surprised that we answer the phone, or they'll write into our contact us form on our website, and they are surprised to get a human response. For us, that's just second nature. That's what you do. We are humans. If someone takes the time to call me or submit a form on our website, I'm gonna, acknowledge their existence and give them a response. Even if I can't help them, I can at least acknowledge them. Those are the types of things that I believe are fundamentally good for transactions, for businesses, and for the economy. And those are examples of how we can humanize transactions and humanize the economy once again. If when we are purchasing something, we are not sure, should I get variety A or variety B? There's something beautiful and human and good about having somebody to talk to about that. Some people call those salespeople, and technically that is true. That's the title. But a good salesperson will guide you to the right solution. And that process of being guided is only possible in a humanity and a humanized situation. A human situation where we have trust for one another. We can listen and be guided or take advice from the person that we're working with. All of these are symptoms of a high trust, humanized economy. And I posit that really is the solution for the problems that we're facing today. So how do we get there? How do we go from this highly digitized, dehumanized, and void of all humanity economy that we're working in, these transactions that are void of humanity entirely? How do we go from this to the solution? Because when we look at this solution, we're bringing our disordered habits, our unreasonable demands, and our lack of virtue that we have been trained in this dehumanized version of the economy. We're bringing those into the humanized economy. And this is what my friend Bridget was talking about. In order to make these changes, when I say make these changes, in order to do business with other humans, in order to take a step into supporting Catholic businesses, in our case, we are asking you to do something that can be slightly less comfortable than going to Amazon. We are calling ourselves, first and foremost ourselves, and also other Catholics, to be willing to shed some of those unreasonable expectations, to move past that total lack of virtue in all transactions that we participate in. And we're calling you to do something better and higher and for the good of others in addition to of yourself. Now, I'll be honest, this is not easy. This is actually a really big ask, and we don't take that for granted. But I want to share that it is possible. It is possible to shift our spending into our own Catholic businesses. And here are some practical steps to do so. First of all, when we understand that it is disordered to want to think something and for it to materialize in front of us, that is us wanting to be like God. That is a fundamentally disordered desire, and we can let it go. What do we do instead? We have to plan a little bit more in advance. We have to be willing to be a little bit patient for a few days. Yes, that's uncomfortable. There's nothing exciting about that. There's nothing easy about that. So we are asking you to do something a little bit difficult. I understand. And I'm asking first and foremost myself. So I'm with you. But a little bit of virtue, a little bit of patience, a little bit of prudence. That is a practical step. We shop with the Catholic business. We'd be willing to wait a couple of days. If something is wrong with our order, rather than writing kind of a 1-star review and, this sort of technological revenge for this imperfection in the order, pause, say a prayer, reach out to the seller as a fellow human being, calmly state the issue and ask for it to be rectified. And the thing is these Catholic business owners, they're going to make it right. They really go out of their way. There is no one on the planet who's going to go more out of their way to make it right for you than the members of Catholic Owned, for sure. But I know there are many other Catholic business owners who are not yet members, who will be soon, but who they will go out of their way to help you out. Treat them like a human being. So what does that take? That takes restraint. That takes self-control and a little bit of patience while they work it out. Those are not easy. That's hard to do, especially when we have the disordered expectation of immediacy and urgently, whatever I want is what I get. We have to leave that behind if we are to move into a higher and a better and a more holy way of working together, whether that be as consumers, as professionals, or as business owners. We can sum this up by giving each other grace. That is the easiest way to sum it up. Give each other grace. But we also have to look internally to recognize I'm going to have to be a little bit more patient. I'm going to have to plan ahead. I'm going to have to adjust my expectations because the truth is my own expectations are disordered. It is disordered to want to think something and have it materialize in front of you, because that's a desire to be like God. That is a disordered desire. It is disordered to expect that if you're unhappy, you can treat other people poorly and still get what you want. That is it is an offense to justice, and is it a disordered system. So if we are to move past this, we have to let go of our disordered expectations and embrace a virtuous and humanized way of recognizing the humanity in every other person involved in the transaction. That can be the person who produced the goods. That can be the business owner themselves. That could be an employee or a customer service representative of the company. It could be the person who puts the item into a box and sends it, or who sends you the invoice and processes your payment. There are many people involved in every transaction. And acknowledging their humanity, giving them a little bit of time, giving them a little bit of patience, and a little bit of grace will go a long way in returning humanity to our every transaction. And ultimately, that is absolutely necessary to return to a Catholic economy where we are supporting each other, where we are in community, and where we are working together. In closing, one of the most common complaints or hesitations that we get when we ask people to buy from Catholic owned businesses more and more is that it's less convenient. Today, I covered the fact that the way that we have come to expect transactions to occur, which is you want the item, it appears within hours. That setup is totally disordered, and it has created disordered desires and disordered expectations in how commerce should be within us. And so when we say that Catholic owned businesses should deliver just like Amazon does, as quickly, as efficiently, as cheaply, and in the same, robotic manner, what we are asking the Catholic owned businesses to do is to live up to disordered expectations. And that in and of itself is a total non-starter for the entire thing. If we want to build a new Catholic economy, we will be called to do something that is difficult. We must face these disordered expectations and instead embrace a humanized approach to every transaction, to respect the human dignity of the many people that are involved in every single purchase that we make every single day. The good news is that by simply acknowledging the human dignity of each other, by growing a little bit in virtue in terms of patience and prudence and self-control, we can make a real difference. Once we're willing to shed those unrealistic expectations, to adopt a more virtuous way of buying, the rest is pretty easy. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you about this today. I think it's so important, and it really is a key for each one of us to examine in order to move forward in our work of building a new Catholic economy. I would love to hear from you. Is this something that resonated with you today? Is this a topic that you think about, or what do you think about this? Do you work in a business that do you do customer service? We'd love to hear from you in the comments what you're seeing as a Catholic out there in the economy. Before I wrap up, I want to make sure you're aware of the Catholic Economy Forum. This is an event we're hosting at Catholic Owned on April 16th. It is on April 16th from 12 to 3 Central Time. And it is going to be virtual in a wonderful virtual venue online, so you don't have to travel, but it's very interactive and immersive, the platform that we're using. So you're going to want to be there live. At the forum, you're going to be networking with other Catholic professionals and business owners who care about supporting each other, and Catholic consumers as well. This is for our whole community. So come one and come all who care about supporting each other. You're also going to hear from a lineup of inspiring Catholic speakers. You are also going to be among the first to hear the big announcement of what is coming next for Catholic Owned. So I invite you to join us. The link to purchase your ticket is in the description of this video. And there is in this video description also a discount code, so you can save 25% on your ticket. I encourage you to take advantage of that discount code. It's not going to be there forever. So if you're thinking of joining us, grab your tickets today and use that code, which is in the description. That's going to wrap it up for me today. I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this episode. If this has resonated with you, I invite you to share this episode with a friend, maybe someone from the parish, maybe your mom's Bible study group, whoever you're in touch with who cares about the Catholic economy. Send them this episode and let me know what they think. This has been Catholic Owned Live, the Monday show with your host, Brooke Joyner. I will be back here on Wednesday and Friday this week. Now, it is Holy Week. So the Wednesday show, I have a wonderful guest, a fellow Catholic woman founder. So she's going to be amazing. We're going to be hearing from her. And then the Friday show, I'm actually going to be sharing a little bit of this book with you guys. It's called The Passion of Christ Through the Eyes of Mary. So you're going to be seeing some of this. I'm just going to be reading some excerpts from this, obviously with it being Good Friday. I don't feel like I have a reasonable thing to add to it, but I can absolutely share some of this very impactful book with you. So that will be the Friday show. Otherwise, Catholic Owned Live is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Central Time. And this is the place where we talk about vocation, business, faith, and how we can support one another. Thank you so much for joining me today. God bless you, and I will look forward to seeing you back here on Wednesday.